How's it going, Andrew?
What's going on, Matt?
Not much. Good to have you back.
Yeah, it feels good to be back.
I'm sad you missed that interview with Lee. That was really good.
I think when I was editing it, I spent a huge amount of time being like, God, I would have corrected them there. I was like, they said something wrong. As I'm texting both you and Lee, like, no, the book you meant is this. Oh, no, that one's this.
Yeah, well, whatever. You did try to correct me about the president, but I proved you wrong.
I agree. I was wrong. I got misinformation. The internet's a wild place.
You know what? We're like kind of screwing this up here because we actually had an episode in between when this one will air and in the Lee episode. So yeah, welcoming you back is like weird at this point, I guess.
Yeah, good to be back. But yeah, we're here at the Robert Burns Table Lodge, my favorite event of the year.
Yeah.
Going to be a fun one. I know that you're getting passed down the haggis recipe, which is a big moment for any Mason.
Don't tell too many people. They're going to break into my house to get it.
Good thing it's in cipher.
I am now in possession of the greatest kept secret in Wisconsin Freemasonry.
Don Henziek's haggis recipe.
Passed down from mouth to ear.
Oh, boy. Well, anyways, we have a very special guest today. So for the sake of time, let's kick the music and introduce our guest.
Sounds good.
Loosen up your ties and roll up your sleeves. It's time for fellowship with Matt and Andrew. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Grand Lodge of Wisconsin or any other Grand Lodge or any appended body.
All right, joining us today, we have Right Worshipful Brother Joe Thompson, Senior Grand Warden of the state of Wisconsin. Thanks for joining us today, Joe.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Ooh, unmute him. There
It helps, yeah. You're not supposed to really mute Right Worshipfuls, but I guess it's fine.
I've been worse, so that's fine.
But awesome. Thanks for coming out and joining us today. When we knew that you'd be in town for the Burns dinner, we were like, maybe we can steal him.
Well, yeah, I text Jeff and, just to inquire as to whether you were going to be here so that if you were, then I could reach out to you to ask you. And, of course, Jeff's like, I'm having dinner with him right now. You want me to just ask him if he'll be on the show? And, yeah, well, if you're sitting there with him, you might as well. I was going to do it myself, but...
Yeah. Well, it's a privilege to be here, so thank you for inviting me.
You're more than welcome. We have like a list of people we'd be interested in, either people that we've met around and stuff, and you've been sitting on that list for like over a year, so we're trying to check, make sure we're talking to brothers we've been wanting to talk to.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So we should probably let Joe tell us why you joined Freemasonry, how you got started, Well,
when back in 1988, I guess my dad joined the Freemasons, and he came to me and he says, do you want to join the Freemasons? And, of course, I said no. And he said, well, I did, and it's something we can do together. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. So the following year I joined, and a few years later he said, do you want to join Scottish Rite? I said, no.
Smart.
And, of course, he said, well, I'm going up to Madison to join, and perhaps you could join with me. And I thought, well, yeah, that's something we could do. And, a few years later, he then did the same with the Shrine. So I had the privilege to be able to spend a lot of time with my dad. He then became a district deputy, and I traveled to many lodges with him just about on a nightly basis. So I really had a good bonding time with my dad. And I guess that's pretty much my legacy. And then my son kind of followed in behind me. So
right on.
So with the three generations of us, I'm pretty proud of that.
Awesome. And your home lodge is?
Olive Branch number 6 out in New Diggins, Wisconsin.
Out in New Diggins, yep.
I love New Diggins. I try to get through there on the motorcycle at least once a year.
It is the place to be. On a Saturday, there's about 400 bikes that come to town, and a little metropolis that's only got about 300 people in it. So.
Yep.
What is it that draws bikers to that area so often?
I don't know. I think it's just the beauty of the terrain there.
Okay.
It's a lot of hills and unfortunately a lot of curves for the bikers.
Yeah, those are the fun parts. Just going down a straight road is boring.
So once you joined Freemasonry with, following the footsteps of your dad, what made you stay? Was it just you liked hanging out with your pops, or was there anything specific that really you found enjoyable about Freemasonry?
Well, that's the big question. I met so many people with him and became so much friends that I just had to keep going. And it just never stops. Everywhere I go, you meet new people, you get new friends. You're never alone in this fraternity, and it's just amazing the amount of people that I meet.
Now, when you were going through, what year were you raised?
In 1989.
1989. 2 years before I was born.
I'm dating myself, obviously.
Andrew's a youngin' over there.
And you said, were you a district deputy?
I did a district deputy's position back in 2017, I believe.
Sure. So you've traveled a lot. You definitely travel. I've seen you out and about more than once. What have you enjoyed about traveling around the state, whether being a district deputy or within your Grand Lodge position?
It's just meeting new people, and you're never a stranger. Every place I've traveled, I've known someone. I had the opportunity to serve the Zorshrine as their potentate, which encompasses everything except for III in Milwaukee and Beja and Green Bay. So statewide, I knew a lot of people, and it seems like every lodge I go to, I know somebody, and they introduce me to more people, and that's the fantastic part of our fraternity.
Yeah. How good are you with names?
This thing that you call brother, it works every time.
That is a good default to go to. Either that or, it's the quick name tag glance, like, oh, that's it. Yep, I knew that.
That's why it's considered good Masonic manners to wear your name tag.
Right,
because
exactly.
You meet so many people all the time. You got to make sure you're identifying yourself.
Actually, you bring up a very interesting point there. I've never thought about that. It is good manners to wear your name tag. Because, especially you see a brother sometimes once a year, it might take you a second to get there. And, one of you is going to feel bad about that. So.
And it's usually mostly the person who forgets. But also I found that in that moment, usually that person's also forgotten my name as well. Right. So it goes both ways. And, I think every brother should always wear a name tag, especially when they're not in their own lodge. When you're traveling, 100% you should. It just makes it easier.
Yeah.
But when I joined, I used to have a little notebook, and I'd write everyone's names and something embarrassing about them to help me remember people. And I've recommended that to a bunch of potential candidates. I was like, your first steps when you're an entered apprentice is to be learning everyone's names, because you're going to meet a lot of people in a very short period of time. It's overwhelming. You're like, man, I already forgot that guy's name right after shaking his hand.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you wrote my name and then that I was a Lord of the Rings character.
Yeah, Gimli, son of Gloin. Yeah. Glowin, I should say. I had Bill Reed as young Luke Skywalker, and John was the Monopoly
Luke
man.
Skywalker.
Old Luke Skywalker. Yeah. It helped. It worked. I remembered everyone's name. So.
All right, we should get back to our guest.
That's fair. What do you got? Ask a question then.
So, obviously, you would have went through the line at your lodge and then served as Worshipful Master before you ever became a district deputy. When you were asked to be a district deputy, what was your reasoning, your train of thought? Why did you think that you would want to do that, I guess?
Well, it came in at midterm where they needed a position filled, and the district deputy for our area was transferred to another area to cover for another vacancy. So
Gotcha.
When the Most Worshipful asked me, how can I help the craft?
Right.
And that's my reason that I accepted it. And the biggest reason was my wife was receptive of it as well, and
there you go. Yep.
Sure, it's something you can do, and I'll join you with it. So
right on. The support of our significant others is always important.
Absolutely.
Having the green light always makes things easier.
Right,
for sure.
Especially when you're going to be like, I'm going to be homeless.
So, you've been spending. How many years have you been in the Grand Lodge? I forget how many years it takes to get to your position. It's one.
Well, yeah, I started out as a district deputy, and then I went to an AA for a period of time.
So probably over a decade.
Oh, no, probably all since 2017.
Yeah, so close to a decade.
Close to a decade.
Going on 8 years.
So you have a lot of experience with, Masonic leadership and how the ins and outs of all that kind of stuff works just through your years and in those positions. What do you think lodges should know as far as what direction Masonry needs to move in, or what lodges should be doing more to help improve either their relationships to the craft or just the fraternity in general?
Well, that's an excellent question. And my answer, obviously, is travel. If you travel, you're going to meet more brothers. You're going to have more in common with more people. You're going to want to get out there and travel more. And, the traveling gavel is a great tool to get that to go. And we have a new program that's going to be introduced shortly. And I don't want to steal the thunder, so I'll wait till it's announced. But we've got another program that's going to encourage people to travel. And that's when you meet other brothers, other Masonic bodies, getting out and going to the Jobies or going out and seeing the Demolay, OES. I mean, the door opens to all kinds of different opportunities for one to seek out.
I like that I know what that is because the person that submitted that idea asked me to proofread it before he sent it off to Grand Lodge. So, yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Well, I'm excited to hear what it is in a period of time. So, in your travels, do any specific visits ever stick out in your mind that were especially special or memorable?
Well, coming here is one of my favorites. And as I continue to travel and I meet good people like yous. Is that appropriate? Yous?
I don't think so. You can say whatever you want on this podcast.
Right.
Mostly.
Your professionally unprofessional Masonic podcast.
But there are other events that I go to, and you get so well received, and it's just like, I want to come back, and I normally do, and you just keep building on that. So, but this is one of my favorite lodges to come and visit, and I say that to a lot of different lodges, but I say it sincerely. And this lodge is you guys are doing it right, and I love the leadership here, and good things happen, and you're out there in the community's eyes, and you're making Freemasonry what it is and what it should be.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's really nice. Thank you. Yeah, we work hard, and I think, like you're saying is, when you travel, it enriches your experience. But also, when I enjoy traveling, is I see, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, things that other lodges are doing, and it's almost inspiring. You're like, I should bring some of these ideas or some of this energy back to my lodge. And so I always think that traveling helps you not only meet people, but also it can help you improve your lodge too. And when your lodge is, even though at Lake here it's a lot of work, it's really enjoyable and fulfilling when, you have something exciting to look forward to, something to work on with your buddies. Like, I mean, the way my dad hangs out with people, it's like fixing their roof. Like, that's his favorite type of hangout. And I was like, that's kind of like what it is being a Mason when you're working hard with your buddies. It's fun.
Well, absolutely. It brings a lot to the table, and every culture is different. So you bring that idea back and you have to tweak it a little bit to make it fit into your culture, and that's what's going to grow our fraternity is that kind of interest in those kind of activities. And
I agree. And I think it's also like important to think when you're looking at your lodge, do you have a culture that you're proud of? And if you don't, what can you do to still, every lodge, regardless, will have a unique culture, but how do you make it a culture that you could be proud of, where you're like, however that manifests itself in your lodge, like have something that you can look back on and go, I'm really happy with the work that's being done. And I think if you can get that pulse check, it's always good.
Absolutely. I agree.
What else you got? My brain is not working. I've downloaded a lot of information today.
Is that the secret ingredient in the haggis? You take a little of your brain out and just shove it in?
Sure. Whatever you want to believe is in it. That is your decision.
Joe, what do you think really distinguishes Freemasonry from other groups people can join? What makes us stick out and what makes us special, do you think?
Well, I just think because of the image that we give out, I think we give a very professional image. I like that kind of culture. We have fun, but yet, it's respectable around the communities. And I think that's over and above and I think that it makes a good presentation to the public, and that's what Masons should do.
Sure. I mean, and that's been a lot of the message of the Grand Lodge the last couple of years coming out is, stop hiding, do things, give back to the community, get out of your lodges.
Absolutely.
And I think that's sound advice, and I think it's been paying off as far as the stats are showing. People are interested,
Absolutely. I travel to go put lids on pot pies,
Yeah.
Which is a great time. I go up to Reedsburg and help them do that. And, I help with the activities. I go up to Dodgeville and I help them making their pasties. And, 4th of July in Schulzburg, they do the cheese curds and, always in the public's eye. And it's fun, and it's a lot of the same group doing the same thing.
Yep.
But you're out in the eyes of the community, and people take notice of that.
For sure.
Yeah, it's always fun I think that in the last couple of years, a lot of lodges have started really thinking about what can they do to get out in the public? How can they get back to their communities? Even if it is something as small as, we're going to do pasties for a night. Like, my dad always talks about in their small town in Illinois that they would always go to the Masons fish fry every week. They'd be like, yep, they did a weekly fish fry. We'd always go there. That's the only time I saw them. And so it's just, it can be something as small as that feels like it's not work because it's fun to do. And then it also is like kind of fun for the public to just have, something, another like amenity, like, oh, these guys are here doing, making pot pies or whatever it might be,
Yep, for sure. You got anything else?
I'm curious. With all of Joe's experience, what would be we ask everyone this, what would be your advice to a past master who is...
Wait. You're screwing... Your advice to a past master?
For a past master. I'm sorry, I thought your brain... Sorry. What would be your advice for some...
Dude...
You could do it.
And it's really funny going in. This is actually really funny because I was just sitting here thinking, I'm already out of the East and Andrew's about to go into the East. I should pass off the question asking to him, and then you just totally whiffed on it, and I hadn't even told you that yet. So anytime we have somebody who is anytime we have somebody who is a past master on the show, we like to ask what their piece of advice would be to a new worshipful master or about to be worshipful master. Like what that one solid piece of advice would be for them to have a successful year.
Planning. If you don't plan, you're going to be disorganized the entire year. And what is leadership? Is leading. And the only way you're going to lead is to have a plan, well drafted in advance, and follow the plan. Otherwise, you're going to just be helter-skelter and all over the place. People expect you to lead, and the best way of leading is to have a plan. We have, our guides out there that will help you with your planning, but get your calendar full and lots of activities. Leave room for new ideas, because when you do these ideas, you're gonna create more interest and more ideas. But leave that calendar open a little bit, but try to get it as full as you can, and it gets the people involved. It gets them motivated to do a good job for you.
I think it's great advice.
Excellent. Yep.
I've heard the planning one quite a bit, but I've never heard the make sure you're leaving space, which I think is really wise. Because, inevitably, if you're doing your job, you'll have new Masons coming in. New Masons always have ideas. Yep. They always have something that they're excited to share. And if you don't have the space, then you lose an opportunity to really get them engaged in the fraternity. So I think that's great advice.
For sure. I agree.
Cool. Well, we're sitting at about the 20-minute mark, which is about what I was looking at. And
because you have to go pick up our 97-year-old brother so he can come enjoy ceremonial toast with us.
Got to get changed and all that good stuff. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast and joining us for a couple of minutes. We're happy we're able to steal you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, it's our pleasure. So thank you, Joe. Everybody out there, you have a great day. We are looking for one piece of feedback about the podcast, though. Whether or not you like the news and event segment. So please email us at timeforfellowship@gmail.com.
And we'll also put out a Facebook post as well. You guys can comment on. We have a tendency to kind of skip it here and there, so we just need to know if we're trying to figure out if we should buckle down and really try to get more news and event, or if it's just something you guys don't really need. So just trying to get a pulse check so we can improve for season 2.
Yeah. So please feel free to give us a feedback either via Facebook, Facebook Messenger, email, however you want to reach out to us.
Find us on our socials. Anyways,
Right.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Have a good one.